Welcome to Area 2071, a research-driven Metaverse podcast.
Hey everyone, it's George from Area 2071. Area 2071 is a project of Blockchain DXB. In this podcast series of Area 2071, we focus on Metaverse, everything related to Metaverse and NFT. This podcast primarily focuses on education, information, research and news about Metaverse across the globe. We will discuss some latest news, technological innovation and adoption of Metaverse. We will also discuss how cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology merges with Metaverse. Finally, we also focus on Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of Metaverse. So, let's kick this thing off. Hello fellow citizens of Metaverse, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 2nd of September and the cryptocurrency market is not looking good at all. Historically, September has if not been one of the worst months for cryptocurrencies and this has clearly had an impact on the cryptocurrency platforms and blockchain platforms and Metaverse platforms that are linked to the price of cryptocurrencies. So overall, the cryptocurrency market is not looking good at all. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing Meta's next VR headset and it is called as Project Cambria. So we'll be exploring if that could be a game changer for Metaverse. Now regarding Metaverse, I'll also be discussing the payment or medium of exchange. What is the ideal thing to use? Now what is ideal to use? Is it Bitcoin using Lightning Network? Are cryptocurrencies an ideal use case? Or tokens will be a good use case for Metaverse or central bank digital currencies? And where does fiat currency fit in Metaverse? And in today's episode, I'll also be discussing few Web 2.0 apps that will be transitioning into Metaverse and we'll also be looking at the Web 3.0 apps that will be built into Metaverse. If you're a developer and working in the Metaverse industry, definitely please give me a feedback regarding this particular section. And what I plan to do is I also plan to have an event via LinkedIn and LinkedIn has recently started an audio event platform. So if you are someone who's working in the Metaverse industry, working in Web 3.0, towards the end of September, I want to have a session with at least 3 or 4 speakers where we discuss everything about Metaverse, that is the Metaverse strategy. We'll look at the technological updates. We will also look at the startups and upcoming projects in Dubai and in UAE. And as we do in every Metaverse Everything podcast, we'll also be discussing the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai. So let's kickstart today's episode. So welcome everyone, it's A-Team, you're in Dubai and you're listening to Metaverse Everything, where we solely focus on Metaverse. We cover top 5 Metaverse news from around the world and top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. And Metaverse Everything podcast is a research-driven podcast focusing on educational and informational content about Metaverse and its impact in the economy. Now remember guys, Monday to Thursdays, we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi and Metaverse as well. And how the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other 2 news and information is related to Dubai, UAE and Middle East in the world of cryptocurrencies. And Monday to Thursdays, we also have an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. Now today, let's kickstart with the Metaverse Everything podcast. If you look at the market cap as of today, the 2nd of September, it is down to $11.6 billion and the 24-hour trading volume is down to $1 billion. Now guys, when I started my podcast on Metaverse Everything, on the 1st of April, the market cap of all cryptocurrency, blockchain and NFT platforms which are linked to Metaverse was around $33.8 billion. Now from $33.8 billion, today it's gone down to $11.6 billion. So almost 1/3 of the original market cap as of 1st of April. Now the 24-hour trading volume has also gone down. On the 1st of April, the 24-hour trading volume was around the $7.5 billion mark. Today, it is down to only $1 billion. So we can definitely say that we are definitely in a bearish market. Now let's look at some of the price of the cryptocurrency and blockchain platforms that are linked to Metaverse. ApeCoin or Ape is currently at $4.73, and since the last 24 hours, it is down by 0.34%. Since the last 7 days, it is down by 7.24%. Decentraland or Mana is down to 0.77 cents. This just might be the lowest that I have seen, but it is still up by 0.59% since the last 24 hours, and since the last 7 days, it is down by 4.85%. The Sandbox or Sand is down to 93 cents, and it is marginally up by 21%. Since the last 7 days, though, it is down by 7.82%. Axie Infinity or AXS is at $13.84. It is down by 0.69%, and since the last 7 days, it is down by minus 1.94%. Theta Network or Theta is at $1.15. Since the last 24 hours, it is down by 1.19%, and since the last 7 days, it is down by 6.27%. And as I said, historically, September has, if not been, one of the worst months for cryptocurrencies. Now guys, what's going to happen is around November, to be precise, on the 8th of November is when the midterm election kicks in. Now during that time, it is extremely possible that politicians, especially in the US, will try to pump up the stock market, and this will severely affect the price of cryptocurrencies in a positive way as well. So let's try to wait and see how this thing plays out. Now let's kickstart today's news regarding Metaverse, and the first news is about Meta. Now Meta has announced a project for its headset called as Meta Cambria. Now they have announced two things. One is Presence Platform, which is focused more for developers. Now listen guys, if you are a developer and are building things on Metaverse, you definitely need to check out Presence Platform. I'll be exploring that in a bit. And they also have Project Cambria, which is the Metaverse's VR headset. Now let me give you some basic information. The headset is going to be out on the 25th of October, and the price tag is $1,500. Now guys, listen, when you talk about Meta and Facebook, there is a lot of incorrect information by mainstream media, and this is surprisingly from both the left-wing party and the right-wing party. For once, looks like there is a bipartisan. For once, looks like both the parties are agreeing regarding Facebook. Even the cryptocurrency platforms that talk about cryptocurrencies are mentioning negative things about Facebook and Meta. But what I'd really like you to do is go to YouTube, go to MetaQuest, watch the video explaining Presence Platform and Project Cambria. This is getting information from first source, and I'll tell you what, you will be extremely surprised with what Facebook and Meta is doing regarding the Presence platforms, which is for developers, and regarding the Project Cambria. Let me give you brief information of what Project Cambria is. It is a new headset, but it will not be MetaQuest 3 or an updated version of MetaQuest. It is going to be a new headset that is a mixed reality with Presence platform. So I personally think it's definitely going to be brilliant. And one of the reasons why it has a high tag of $1,500 because they're trying to explore things with mixed reality. Now, if you watch Mark Zuckerberg's interview, he has clearly mentioned that the price tag for the headset that they are aiming is $100. Now that might happen maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, but for the time being, this is more like a test headset, but the price tag of $1,500 does seem ridiculously high. But let me try to explain what the VR headset is all about. Firstly, it's going to be a mixture of virtual reality and mixed reality. And they have a platform for developers called as Presence Platform. So if you're a developer, you definitely need to check it out, be an early adopter and start building using the Presence Platform. In the YouTube video, they've actually mentioned how you can use this headset in the presence in your living room. So it is kind of like a mixture of virtual reality and mixed reality. And I'm not sure if they're trying to merge it with augmented reality as well. So compared to the previous headset, this just might be 3 or 5 times much better. So you can identify objects in your living room, you can place virtual objects on real surfaces, and they've given a really beautiful example of playing chess. Now using this headset, you can actually play chess in your living room, but the background will be an actual living room, whereas the chess will be in the virtual and in the mixed world. And they have new sensors with high color definition. Now, Project Meta Cambria, despite its extremely high price tag, I definitely do think that this would be a game changer. And what would be really interesting to see is if they merge it with BNP, that is Buy Now, Pay Later. Now, if Facebook or Meta has tie-ups with Amazon, and if they are in a position to have this option of Buy Now, Pay Later, I'm pretty much sure a lot of the average customers will definitely be keen to getting their hands on it. But once again, the price tag of $1,500 is a ridiculously high amount. But if you look at Mark Zuckerberg's interview, he actually did mention that 5 years down the line, they want to reduce the price of the headset, and by that time, the economies of scale will improve, and they will be in a position to offer these headsets, even a much better version of these headsets at $100. So personally, I do think that this will be an absolutely game changer. Now guys, what I'd like to discuss is when you talk about Metaverse, there's a lot of information regarding cryptocurrencies, tokens, and central bank digital currencies. So what I want to do is I just want to share my opinion in terms of what I particularly think will be an ideal form of payment and medium of exchange. I'm a massive fan of Bitcoin, and I do think that Bitcoin using Lightning Network does solve the blockchain trilemma problem in the Metaverse. That is, it takes care of decentralization, or distributed, how I like to call it. It tackles the scalability issue. Now, Bitcoin Lightning Network is still at its infancy scale, and some of the detractors of Bitcoin would actually say that Lightning Network is lightning years away. Now, I partly do have to agree with that. If you look at Bitcoin Lightning Network, let's say at a massive time horizon, maybe 3 to 5 years down the line, there is a possibility that it could scale 1 million transactions per second. Now, 1 million transactions per second in the Metaverse will still might be low. So we'll just have to wait and see. Bitcoin Lightning Network does offer excellent and brilliant security of the Bitcoin blockchain system. Now, regarding cryptocurrencies, I really am not sure if cryptocurrencies will be an ideal form of payment and medium of exchange in the Metaverse. Now, despite what you want to hear, I don't think that cryptocurrencies do have the bandwidth. The biggest problem is the scalability issue. If you look at Ethereum, even after the merge date, it will not be able to scale on the level that Metaverse intends to scale. Imagine people logging into Metaverse, logging out from Metaverse. There will be social media, there will be gaming industry. Cryptocurrencies in particular, I don't think could actually be an ideal use case, both in terms of making payments and as a medium of exchange. But what about tokens? Now, Meta or Facebook, they plan to release an own token. Now, this would be ideal if the platform is a centralized protocol, such as a Horizon World or Presence platform. Then, if the company issues token, these tokens will be in a position to scale quite a lot of transactions, maybe a perfect use case in the Metaverse as well. But you're having a massive compromisation so far as the centralization aspect is concerned. The other thing that when you talk about Metaverse, you also need to look at interoperability, you need to look at privacy, you need to look at anonymity, you also need to look at, where the fiat onboard happens and how the conversion of fiat to cryptocurrencies or tokens and vice versa happens. And the biggest topic which is going on right now is regarding sanctions. Now, if it is a central entity who issues token, unfortunately or fortunately, they will be in a better position to manage sanctions as well. The next thing that I'd like to discuss is central bank digital currencies. The central bank digital currencies will be issued by the state, so it's going to be extremely centralized. But it tackles the user experience, it also tackles the scalability and security. But the biggest problem is the government is in control of your money. The other question which I often think about is what happens to fiat currencies? Can fiat currencies using, let's say, your banking account, can that be used in the Metaverse? So what is it that you guys think? Share in your comments in the comment sections below. Now, between the 5 of them, what do you think is the dominant use so far as payment is concerned and medium of exchange is concerned? Personally, I do think that fiat currencies will probably account for maybe 50 to 60% of the use case. The another 20 or 30% could be tokens, but again, these tokens will be linked to fiat currencies. So you're looking at least 60 to 80%. Now, as much as I dislike in saying this, but I do feel that central bank digital currencies may be a better alternative than cryptocurrencies as an ideal form of payment and medium of transfer in the metaverse. Cryptocurrencies can be used, let's say, for buying NFTs or digital assets. Apart from that, because of the scalability, I don't think it will be an ideal use case, but maybe in the next decade or so, as and when you have better technologies, as and when you have probably newer cryptographic technologies, newer hashing algorithm, maybe we might be able to solve the blockchain trilemma problem so far as cryptocurrency is concerned in the talks of being as a medium of payment and a medium of transfer in the metaverse. Now, what I'd like to also share is few Web2 apps that will be transitioning in the metaverse. And again, this is my opinion. If you agree or disagree, mention them in the show notes below or in the comments below. Now, regarding Web2, I definitely do think dating apps such as Tinder will be moving into metaverse. As a matter of fact, Mark Zuckerberg's sister, Randy Zuckerberg, she has listed out 10 use cases which she thinks will be transitioning first into metaverse. And dating apps is, if not one of the first apps according to her, that would be an ideal use case in the metaverse. Apart from dating apps, there could also be a couple of apps that friends could utilize just to hang out and chill. But the whole point is, how long will you be able to use the headset? And again, this goes back to the project Cambria headset. One of the goals with the new release on the 25th of October is for the users to use this headset for a much longer time. So they're focusing a lot on the user experience so that users can use it for a much longer time. Apart from dating apps, I do think video calling such as Zoom or Skype or Paltalk will be a brilliant use case that could be transitioning from Web2 to Metaverse. You will also be having the ability to track the 5 human senses, and with haptic devices, you might be able to touch a person, maybe feel the person, and quite a lot more. We are still way too early in the stage of Metaverse, but probably in a decade's time or so, I definitely do think video calling will be one of the top performing apps in the Metaverse. And you also have virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented experiences that would make video calling a different experience in the Metaverse. Social media. Now imagine using social media with the ability of moving around in a 360-degree way. Now, if you go to YouTube, I'm sure you might have seen 360-degree videos where you're able to turn and switch things around. Imagine doing that in the Metaverse. Now, I still consider that to be in Web2 because YouTube already does that. If you are on Facebook, you can still watch 360-degree videos, but maybe with virtual reality headset and with augmented reality headset, you might be able to interact with your colleagues and friends using the panoramic mode. Now, with 6G capabilities, there is a possibility. So let's say if you are in a room, you want to whisper something to one particular individual, you might be able to do that. This again still falls into Web2, transitioning into Metaverse. And finally, the next thing what I think of is fintech or banking accounts only in the Metaverse. So imagine I am an individual who is living in Dubai, but I have a different identity in Metaverse. And in the Metaverse, there is a banking industry that gives me a banking account only in the Metaverse, not connected to the physical world at all. That is something which I definitely think could be built in the Metaverse. Now let's look at Web3 dApps or decentralized apps that will be transitioning into Metaverse. The first thing I can think of is fitness dApps or decentralized apps where you'll be able to track fitness in the Metaverse. Now there are quite a lot of apps called as Step-in app, there is a Step app, there is a Sweatcoin, quite a lot of other these things. But imagine doing your workout in the Metaverse. In one of my podcasts a few months ago, I did speak about a project in Dubai called as Navy DXB, and they are one of the first to be transitioning into Metaverse so far as the fitness industry is concerned. There are a couple of gyms in Dubai. What they want to do is they want to have the entire fitness in Metaverse. Now, if somehow, some way you can incentivize users to monetize that, that would be a brilliant use case so far as Web3 and Metaverse is concerned. So users can monetize by sharing their data with sports industry, let's say with Nike, Adidas, or any other work sports giant. The next industry I can think of is, let's say, DeFi and MetaFi. So Meta Finance, what we have decentralized finance, could we have a Metaverse finance which works only in the Metaverse. Now there's influencer market in Metaverse, and I have a brilliant interview with the CEO of Metafluence, Ermin Wagi, who talked brilliant use case of having influencers in the Metaverse. That would be a brilliant move too. Gamify is a massive industry in Metaverse. It just might be one of the biggest industries to transition to Metaverse. Now, it could be possible that there are new games that can be created and utilized only in the Metaverse. So something which cannot be worked on Web 2 or with regular devices. And what I particularly am quite keen is Blue Ocean, an industry which is not yet been identified. Now think of it, guys. Before the mobile phones or smartphones, we didn't know what social media was. There is a very high possibility with Metaverse there will be an entirely new industry which has not been identified yet, a completely new user experience for users. That, I think, would be the cake of Web3 in the Metaverse. Now let's look at the top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. The first one I'd like to talk about is a fashion icon called Hermes, and they have revealed the plans for Metaverse, and they want to have a fashion show for crypto NFTs. Now Hermes has filed a trademark application that covers downloadable software to view, store and manage virtual goods. So a lot of these luxury goods are definitely making its play in the Metaverse. So you will be able to manage virtual goods, digital collectibles, cryptocurrencies and NFTs for use in online worlds. Now guys, in Twitter, there is a username called as Mike Condodes. Now he's a lawyer, and what he does is whenever there are luxury brands who are filing in patents, he always posts them via Twitter and he gives us screenshots. And this news is published by Cointelegraph as well. Now he has mentioned via Twitter that the new trademark application comes months after filing a lawsuit against Metabrink's founder, Mason Rothschild, and the lawsuit was filed way back in January. And the reason why Hermes filed this lawsuit was because they were allegedly using the brand's Birkin name to make money from sales. So there is a completely different reason as to why they have gone ahead and patented and are entering into the Metaverse. But if you do want to find out more about the legal drama, go to the Cointelegraph website or check my LinkedIn profile. There is a 49-page legal complaint against Mason Rothschild. So Hermes is definitely making its move into the Metaverse. The second news is about Google, and this is Google Street View. Now Google's immersive Street View could be a glimpse of Metaverse. Now Google will start rolling out immersive view later this year, a Google map that lets people explore a faraway place as though they are standing right there, is providing a glimpse of the Metaverse being heralded as the future of the internet. Now listen guys, I had Samsung Gear VR, and there was an app which was connected to the Google map. So what you could actually do is, using that map, you could literally stand right in the center of the map. And the very first thing what I did was, I did look at a place way back in Mumbai where I grew up. Now I was in Dubai and I went to that Google map. I literally felt that I was standing right there at the same location where I grew up. And believe it or not, the experience was absolutely fantastic. Now this was literally 5 years ago. Imagine with better technology, with better image quality, the experience of using Google Street View in the Metaverse will be absolutely surreal, and it will be extremely a unique and brilliant experience. But it also possesses a danger. What if this Google Street Map is used, let's say, by terrorists to do some notorious action? So that is one thing that we also need to be considering about. The next move is about Shiba Inu. Now, if you are a Shiba Inu fan or a Shiba Inu army, you should be aware that Shiba is constantly working in the Metaverse, and they have an update. And the update is regarding Shiba's Metaverse Wagmi Temple. Now, what is the Wagmi Temple? It is a hub, and this hub will be developed with an incredible concept in mind, and they invite community to contribute, collaborate with this concept, while also providing input on the direction of the hub design. If you do want to find out more information about this, and if you are a developer who wants to assist and build things, go to blog.shibaswap.com. There are crystal clear directions on what you need to do. The fourth news that I'd like to talk about is banking in the Metaverse. So Metaverse gets its first Swiss bank branch, and the branch name is called a Signum Bank. And a Signum Bank with the roots in Switzerland and Singapore will open a branch on New York's virtual Times Square. So the massive news is Signum Bank is planning to open a branch on New York's Times Square. That sounds like a rather routine order of business for a bank. This branch, however, will be in cyberspace and the location is virtual, making it the first Swiss bank to operate in the Metaverse. And they're building this in the Decentraland Hub. Now, if you go to the website, they do have a video that showcases what the Signum Bank will be in the Metaverse. Now, the link for that is in my LinkedIn profile. And what I always do is I always provide info from the first source. And the fifth news, guys, is about the Meta headset, something which I talked about earlier in the episode. So it's about the project Cambria and the presence platforms that Meta is planning to launch on the 25th of October with a hefty price tag of $1,500. Now let's look at top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and UAE. The first news is about education and Metaverse. Now there is an article which is published on Arabian Business. Now I'd really recommend you guys do is read through the article. This article is written by Dr. May Al-Barachi, who's the Director of Computer Science and IT Programs at the University of Wollongong in Dubai, and she explains why the UAE's education sector should care about the Metaverse. And guys, what I tend to do is I tend to have interviews with startups, particularly in Dubai and UAE, from the Metaverse industry. And one of the questions that I ask them is, of all the industries, which industry do you think will be most impacted by Metaverse? And surprisingly, a lot of them did actually say education. And so definitely a brilliant article. I'd really recommend you guys to go ahead and read through it. The second news is about a $16 million donation, and this comes by Quint founders. So the Quint founders have donated $16 million to establish the Quint Bone Marrow Transplant Center in Dubai. Quint is a luxury-centric Metaverse ecosystem. I did cover about them in my regular Crypto and Coffee at 8 podcast. Now what they did back in April, they did have a token sale. And the whole idea about the Quint ecosystem is they want to bridge the Metaverse and the physical world for growth and returns. So the massive news, and this in a sense has not much to do with Metaverse, but it is more of giving back to the community. And they are doing, if not, one of the brilliant use case. So they want to donate $16 million to Al Jalila Foundation. So the donation, the first of its kind in the UAE and the largest of its kind in the world, was made to support Hamdan bin Rashid Cancer Charity Hospital through a specialty devised locking and vesting mechanism that will make the required funds available to Al Jalila Foundation over the 3-year construction of the hospital bone marrow transplant center. So they're definitely using DeFi or decentralized finance, and they're using smart contracts as well. So brilliant use case. Now after the full realization of the donation, this facility will be named Quint Bone Marrow Transplant Center upon launch. So definitely brilliant use case. The next news that I'd like to talk about is Blockchain DXB. Now guys, what I want to do is, on LinkedIn, I do want to have an event, and most likely this event will happen on the 3rd or the 4th week of this month. Now this particular event, what I want to discuss is, I want to discuss the Dubai Metaverse strategy. I want to discuss the latest updates in and around Dubai and UAE, because Dubai wants to be the top 10 city in the world so far as Metaverse is concerned. So far as Web3 is concerned, it wants to be the number 1 city in the world. Now, if you are a startup, if you have any hands-on experience working in the Metaverse industry, I would definitely want you as a co-speaker, and we'll be discussing these things. Now, what I really want to do is, I want to have this session for at least 40 minutes to an hour. It's going to be via LinkedIn, and what I really want is at least 4 or 5 guest speakers. So we have a discussion on Dubai Metaverse strategy, we discuss the latest updates, we also discuss some of the projects that you're working on and how it helps and builds Dubai. But we will definitely not be giving out any financial advice. The fourth news what I'd like to talk about is regarding the gaming industry. So Pixel Gaming Esports Hub is planning to open in Abu Dhabi, and Pixel Planet VR will offer 10 virtual and augmented reality games, and they're doing that in partnership with Robocom VR. Now this is going to be absolutely massive. So Pixel Gaming will foster an elite community launching the first ever esports academy in the Middle East and will host global gaming tournaments in its 800-seat capacity arena to become a beacon for mega competitions. So the academy also includes an esports bar, a gaming community twist on a typical sports bar where global gaming events can be viewed while enjoying food and beverage. So the UAE's digital gaming sector is estimated to reach $930 million by 2025, and Pixel Gaming will highlight Abu Dhabi as a global leader in esports by broadcasting to millions and millions of fans. This has a massive impact on Metaverse as well. So definitely brilliant news for UAE. The fifth news that I'd like to talk about is a company called All Star Alliance Free Zone LLC. So All Star Alliance launches a unique NFT membership program called as Project I3X. And what they're planning to do is they are seeking to improve the world utilizing Web3 and a global DAO, or called as Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So let me try to give you a very brief overview of what Project I3X is. It is essentially a DeFi reward distributed platform focusing on karmic rewards for improvements in sectors such as algae, artificial intelligence, water remediation, conscious media, and quantum energy. So the intentions does seem absolutely brilliant. And All Star Alliance aims to create a new digital and the physical metaverse community that gives members access to the lifestyle gamification for the new earth creative economy. Now, I'm really not sure what this project is all about, so what I'm going to do is next week, I'm going to send them an email, and most likely I'd like to have a podcast session with them, giving them an opportunity to explore and tell our listeners everything about All Star Alliance. But definitely brilliant move. So that's all for today, guys, on the Metaverse Everything podcast. I really do hope that you have a brilliant weekend ahead. And remember, guys, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And how the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is we usually cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well, news that has an impact in the cryptocurrency world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. And what you're listening to right now is the Metaverse Everything, where we discuss everything about the Metaverse new headset. We discuss Project Cambria. We also discuss the Presence platform. We discussed a little bit about the different types of payments and medium of exchange that can be used in the Metaverse. We also looked at the Web2 platforms that will be transitioning to Metaverse, Web3 dApps that will be moving into Metaverse. We also discussed the top 5 Metaverse news from Dubai and top 5 Metaverse news from around the world. Now listen, guys, if you do have any feedback or suggestions, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com or info@area2071.com. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a brilliant weekend ahead. Bye-bye.